ever seen someone whose face looks puffy, unnatural, or heavy after multiple injections treatments? Instead of looking younger, they may appear older, tired, swollen, or simply lose their natural facial character. So if you have ever wondered why this happens, or you are considering fillers and want to avoid looking overdone, join Anna Hu channel live session. We'll explain what Overfilled Syndrome is, why it happens, and how a balanced approach keeps results looking natural.
人们常问我，为什么看起来不像50岁？因为我一直坚持由内而外的健康美。真正的年轻是一种活力，是对生活的热情。爬山、瑜伽或是四处走走，我总是精力充沛，充满笑容。
Youth Forever NMN Plus, the secret to energizing your body. NMN fuels NAD+, charging your cells, supports DNA repair, and boosts lasting energy. Youth Forever NMN Plus. Maximize your anti-aging potential with a professional medical team developed formula. Contains 500 milligrams NMN per serving. It's your all-in-one boost for vitality and a youthful life.
年轻不只是外在，这里也一样重要。我的活力由我来定义。
Youth Forever NMN Plus. Stay young, inside and out.
Have you ever seen someone whose face looks puffy, unnatural, or heavy after multiple injections treatments? Instead of looking younger, they may appear older, tired, swollen, or simply lose their natural facial character. So if you have ever wondered why this happens, or you are considering fillers and want to avoid looking overdone, join Anna Hu channel live session. We'll explain what Overfilled Syndrome is, why it happens, and how a balanced approach keeps results looking natural.
人们常问我，为什么看起来不像50岁？因为我一直坚持由内而外的健康美。真正的年轻是一种活力，是对生活的热情。爬山、瑜伽或是四处走走，我总是精力充沛，充满笑容。
Youth Forever NMN Plus, the secret to energizing your body. NMN fuels NAD+, charging your cells, supports DNA repair, and boosts lasting energy. Youth Forever NMN Plus. Maximize your anti-aging potential with a professional medical team developed formula. Contains 500 milligrams NMN per serving. It's your all-in-one boost for vitality and a youthful life.
年轻不只是外在，这里也一样重要。我的活力由我来定义。
Youth Forever NMN Plus. Stay young, inside and out.
Welcome to the Anna Hu channel live. I'm Dr. Anna, Medical Director and founder of Anna Hu Clinic in Malaysia. So this is a space where we share thoughtful, evidence-based perspective on health, beauty, and medical aesthetic. So today, we are exploring a topic that has become increasingly common in the world of aesthetic treatment, Overfilled Syndrome. So many people seek treatment to look younger, fresher, and more attractive. But have you ever seen someone whose face looks puffy, unnatural, or heavy after multiple injections treatments? Instead of looking younger, they may appear older, tired, swollen, or simply lose their natural facial character. So if you have ever wondered why this happens, or you are considering fillers and want to avoid looking overdone, this session is for you. We'll explain what overfilled syndrome is, why it happens, and how a balanced approach keeps results looking natural. Let's hear from you before we go deeper. I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment below here. So have you ever seen a face that looked overfilled or unnatural after aesthetic treatment? Are you concerned about looking fake, puffy, or overdone after fillers? What questions do you have about fillers, facial aging, or overfilled syndrome? Please share below and we'll answer your questions and discuss practical solutions throughout today's sessions. But first, let me introduce our Ask and Win sessions. Don't be shy, ask away during the live sessions and you might just win our complete essential kit. What's in the kit? NMN 5 sachets, which is good for energy and cellular health. Collagen C Forte 4 sachets, which is good for skin glow and firmness. Prampo Plus 3 sachets for daily nutrition and gut support. So this kit is packed with essential to help you feel and look your best, inside and out. So 5 winners will be announced tomorrow on the Anna Hu channel Facebook page. So make sure to follow us and stay tuned. Alright, let's watch a short video to better understand what overfilled syndrome is and what causes it. Have you ever noticed a face that looks unusually white, puffy, or a little swollen, a little odd, even though you know the person has had aesthetic treatment means to make them look younger? So it is a very real thing that in the medical world, we now call it facial overfilled syndrome. Many people believe aging is simply a matter of losing volume, like a balloon deflating. So the automatic answer is to keep adding more fillers. But our faces are far more beautifully complex than that. Aging happens in layers. It isn't just skin deep. Over time, our underlying bone structure subtly changes. Our natural fat pads shift, shrink, or descends. The ligaments that hold everything up begin to loosen, and our skin quality and collagen decline. So when we don't properly assess all of this moving part, simply pumping in more fillers might temporarily mask the volume lost, but it completely fails to address the root cause. When filler is used as a quick fix to chase every wrinkle, it starts to look heavy. The result is an overly rounded, puffy look in the cheek or under eyes, a loss of those beautiful sharp facial contour, and ultimately a face that looks artificial rather than refreshed. At Anna Hu Clinic, our philosophy has never been about just adding more volume. It's about restoring harmony, structure, and your own natural beauty. Facial balance and restorations means understanding why a face looks tired or sunken before we ever decide on a treatment. It means carefully assessing your unique anatomy, bone structure, muscle, fat pads, ligaments, and skin to find the true cause of the concern. Sometimes the right solution is restoring volume. Other times it means improving skin quality, tightening the tissues, or even dissolving old, misplaced filler first. The goal is always the same, a refreshed appearance that looks entirely like you. When you step into our clinic, you can expect an approach that is highly individualized and medically driven. We evaluate your face as a whole, rather than focusing on a single isolated lines or wrinkle. Every treatment plan is designed to enhance your natural features while maintaining facial harmony and proportions. We aren't here to give you a dramatically different face. Our objective is simply to help you look healthier, balanced, and naturally youthful. Because the best aesthetic work isn't the work people notice, it's the confidence that they see in you. Welcome back to Anna Hu channel live. I'm Dr. Anna, here to help you look and feel your best. If you have questions during the session, pop them in the comments. We'll select some viewer to receive our complete essential kit, and I'll answer your questions live with a clear look at how we restore natural facial balance. So, why does overfilled syndrome happen? Have you ever seen a face that looked a little too full, puffy, or unnatural after treatment? Maybe the cheek looks overly rounded, the face appears wider than before, or the person somehow looks less refreshed despite having treatments meant to make them look younger. The truth is, aging isn't just about losing volume. It affects every layer of the face. Our bone structure gradually changes. The fat pads that give youthful support shrink, shift, or move downward. The ligament loosen, and the skin loses collagen and elasticity. When we only focus on adding more filler without understanding these changes, we are treating the symptom rather than the cause. As a result, the face can start to look too round or heavy, puffy around the cheek or under eye area, less defined and less natural, or simply different from the person's original facial character. And this is what many people refer to as overfilled syndrome. What do we mean by facial balance and restorations? It starts with understanding why the face looks tired, hollow, saggy, or itchy in the first place. Instead of looking at just one area, we assess the face as a whole: the bone structure, muscle, fat pads, ligaments, and skin quality. Sometimes volume restoration is appropriate. Sometimes improving skin quality or tightening tissues matters more. And in some cases, we may even recommend dissolving old or misplaced fillers before doing anything else. So the treatment is never about chasing volume. It's about helping you look refreshed, healthy, and youthful while still look like yourself. So every face is different, so every plan should be different too. We take a personalized, medically driven approach and evaluate the face holistically. Our aim is not to change your face dramatically, it is to enhance your natural features, maintain harmony and proportions, and help you age beautifully and naturally. So let's look at the questions. Hi, Dr. Anna. Is it safe to keep repeating fillers injection? Can repeat fillers cause overfilled syndrome? Oh, that's a good question, and one many people are curious about. The short answer is yes. Filler treatment can be repeated, but they should never be repeated blindly or unnecessarily. So one common misconception is that once filler starts to fade, you need to top them up every few months. In reality, many fillers remain in the tissues far longer than people expect, even when the visible effect appears to have reduced. So if filler is repeatedly added without assessing what's already there, the volume gradually accumulates over time. This is one of the reasons some people develop overfilled syndrome, where the face starts to look puffy, heavy, or unnatural. So the key question shouldn't be, do I need more filler? It should be, what is my face actually lacking right now? Sometimes the issue is volume loss and filler may help, but sometimes it's skin laxity, collagen loss, muscle changes, or old fillers that's still present. That's why a proper facial assessment before every treatment is so important. At Anahu Clinic, we evaluate the face as a whole rather than automatically adding more filler at every visit. Remember, the goal is not to keep injecting. The goal is facial harmony, natural beauty, and healthy aging. A well-done treatment should make people say, "You look refreshed," not "What have you done to your face?" Welcome back to Anahu channel. If you have just joined us, a very warm welcome. Type a hello in the comments and let me know where you are watching from tonight. And here's a little reminder. Everyone who asks a question tonight stands a chance to win our complete essential kit. We'll be choosing 5 lucky winners. So don't be shy, drop your questions in the comment and I will answer as many as I can live. Let's begin with a question that has already come in, and it's one I hear almost every day in my clinic. Okay. Hi, Dr. Anna. Is it safe to keep repeating fillers injections? Can repeated fillers cause overfilled syndrome? Okay, thank you for these questions. I'm sure many of you watched tonight wondering exactly the same thing. And during our day-to-day consultations time, this question is popping up very frequently. The short answer is yes, filler treatment can be repeated, but they should never be repeated blindly or unnecessarily. Here's a very common misconception. Many people believe that once filler starts to dissolve, they must keep topping up every few months. In reality, fillers often stay in our tissue much longer than we expected, even when the visible effect seems to have faded. The reason why is because when the visible effect seems to have faded, the fading, it could be because of our own connective tissues rather than the hyaluronic acid itself. Okay, so besides, I would like to reinforce that the fillers that we are discussing today is specific to hyaluronic acid fillers only. So imagine what happens if fillers keep being added, visits after visits, without proper assessing what is already there. Layer by layer, the volume quietly builds up. And that is exactly how some people develop what we call overfilled syndrome, when the face started to look puffy, heavy, and unnatural. That's why I always tell my patients, the questions, it's not, do I need more fillers? The question is, what is my face actually lacking right now? What is the root cause? And what should I do? Sometimes the answer truly is volume lost, and fillers may be appropriate. But sometimes the real concern is skin laxity, collagen lost, muscle changes, or even old fillers that is still sitting quietly in the tissue at the wrong depth. So this is why a proper facial assessment is so important before we initiate the treatment plan or before every single treatment or before we proceed for any treatment straight away. It's not the questions about how many fillers I need. It's the questions about what happened to my face and how can I overcome this challenge. So at Anahu Clinic, we always evaluate the face as a whole. We never simply add more filler at every visit. Remember, the goal is not to keep injecting. The goal is to maintain facial harmony, natural beauty, and healthy aging. A well-done aesthetic treatment should make people say, you look refreshed, never of what have you done to your face. Okay, now let's come to the next questions. How do I know if I already have overfilled syndrome? What are the signs? Again, this is another very good question because overfilled syndrome usually develops slowly and many people don't notice it in themselves. Here are the signs I look for. First, the face look a bit more puffy or heavy, especially in the cheek area and around the under eye area, and it's because more obvious when we smile. So when we smile, sometimes the eye become very small and then the anterior projections of the cheek become over enhanced. So a natural cheek softens when we smile and an overfilled cheek bunches up and push into the under eye area, and it will make the whole middle part of the face become very tight and over volumized, become bloated. Second, the facial proportion starts to change. The mid face look too full and rounded. the lips or the chin look projected, and the face lose its natural light and shadow. So when we assess an individual face, generally we will assess the whole face in total rather than we just treat specific area only. The one commonest challenges in the field or in the community is when certain center they promote treatment, they will enhance the area that they wanted to treat. Like for example, the apple cheek, 苹果肌, or tear trough, 泪沟. So with this wording, 泪沟 or 苹果肌, apple cheek, keep repeating and repeating in the social media, so it will bring our focus into that under eye area or the mid cheek area. So when these situations happen in the consumer mind, it's always, I think I need treatment for this particular area, or I think my tear trough is sunken, or I think my apple cheek is not good enough. So when we intentionally focus our visions in this particular area, it will enhance it in our mind, and we constantly think that it's insufficient and we need to add more. By doing so, what will happen is we might overtreat this particular area, and the overtreatment around this area eventually will lead to enhancement of volume or over volume at the mid face relatively when we compare to the upper face, and relatively when we compare to the lower face, or when we put the whole face together, the center part or the middle part of the face is over volumized. So in these specific conditions, it's a poor planning without proper assessment of the full face. And when this happens, sometimes we will call this a pillow face look. Another area is the third one, and this is the simple test. Compare your photo now versus 5 or 6 years ago. So if your face today look fuller than when you were younger, something is not right. Again, when your face after treatment look fuller when you were younger, compared to when you were younger, this is not right. We are looking at the treatment area at the mid face. So aging causes volume loss at the mid face, not volume gain. However, aging causes volume gain at the lower part of the face. Volume gain at the lower part of the face, not purely because of real gain, but it's because of structural volume loss at the upper and middle part of the face, leading to sagginess of the skin. So if we reassess it again, looking at the structure behind the skin, which is the bone, the muscle, the fat, then only the skin, with volume reductions of the bone and the muscle and the fat pad, emptiness at the mid face, it will enhance the over volumizations at the lower face due to natural aging process, not because we overtreat the lower face. So a refreshed face should look like a younger versions of you, not a puffy versions of you. So a proper treatment, it's supposed to start with a proper consultations, what had happened that leading to the face volume lost, that bring you forward for consultations. Then what is the assessment result after looking at the upper, middle, and lower face. At the same time, if we can elaborate better, it will be the 4 different areas: forehead, middle part of the face, lower face, including the neck. So after we have done the assessment, then we compare relatively which is the area that have sunkenness and which are the areas that have volume enhancement due to natural aging process. And from there, we can identify whether patients required or an individual required bone structure restorations of volume loss, fat pad volume loss restorations to lift the face up again. Then only we proceed for treatment planning, discussions with patients, and from there, before we proceed straight away for injections. So proper assessments will include consultations, assessment, treatment planning. By doing a proper protocol, we will be able to avoid overfilled syndrome. So it's extremely important. The first step is always a proper assessment to find out exactly what is sitting where in your face. And by doing this assessment, we will be able to avoid overfilled syndrome. Okay. Now, let's look at the second question. So I was told fillers only last 6 to 12 months. If they dissolve, how can they build up in my face? Okay. So this is one of the biggest misconceptions in aesthetic medicines. So this is also one of the commonest asked questions by patients. When we say a filler lasts 6 to 12 months, that usually refers to how long the visible lifting effect is maintained. So, but the filler's material itself can remain in the tissue much longer. So again, when you come forward for aesthetic consultations, it's important for us to ask, is this permanent fillers or non-permanent fillers? And when we ask how long the result will last, we should also ask, will this particular product fully absorb or biodegradable in our body, or will it last permanently underneath the skin? Because the result might not last as long as what we wanted. However, if we are using a synthetic fillers, what will happen? The fillers will last permanently underneath the skin. Okay, so filler material itself can remain in the tissue way much longer than what we expected. So imaging studies have found hyaluronic acid fillers still present years after injections, 3 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years. And in our practice, we notice patients' face features still remain in a good conditions after 8 years of hyaluronic acid treatment. So when we are talking about this, then we start to think again, what actually happened during what actually happened after the fillers injections? Is the filler stays underneath the skin, aging process leading to connective tissue dissolve or connective tissue loss as we age? Or is it the fillers itself that lasts that particular long periods of time? So one of the things that we should do differently is not only looking at how long the fillers will last, but at the same time looking at what is the speed of aging of that particular person. Because if we are able to identify the speed of aging, so what causes increase the speed of aging? Number one, when we are not getting enough sleep, the speed of aging will be faster because there's less repair and regenerations. When we over-exercise at the same time without providing sufficient amount of nutrition for the body, that will also lead to increase the speed of aging. When we have a lot of stress, that at the same time will also increase the speed of aging. And at the moment, in the current medical field, we have ways to measure your speed of aging through a age-to-you test. So one is equivalent to when you age 50, if the if the reading is 1, means your aging process is exactly the same like people age 50. If the aging process is less than 1, that means that when you are age 50, your speed of aging is slightly like maybe people of a younger age. When your aging process is more than 1, means you are aging way much faster compared to people of your age. So looking at this, then re-looking back how frequent or how many fillers that we should fill on our face, this will give us the answer. If our speed of aging is less than 1, whichever amount of fillers that we injected, during the injections itself, it will trigger regenerations process of the collagen regenerations. Then the chances that the fillers will last way much longer, or the result will last way much longer compared to what is being listed in the studies. However, if we fall sick, if we are not getting enough rest, if we exercise a lot, or the commonest discussion point that we will have is the GLP-1 usage. When we inject GLP-1 medicines to reduce weight, rapid weight loss will also lead to volume loss on the face, and mimically it will make us look age faster because of the fat pad volume loss. So if we are able to measure and identify the cause of aging, generally the fillers will last longer. So when we are assessing a patient, it's always good to start with consultations, identify the lifestyle process, do assessment, and at the same time, besides treating with hyaluronic acid or the volumizing fillers on the face, it's important to guide patients with healthy lifestyle. So the money that they paid for the aesthetic treatment will be able to last slightly longer. So, okay, maybe let's look at the next questions. Can all or misplaced fillers be removed? Okay, yes, if you are using hyaluronic acid fillers. So if the fillers is hyaluronic acid, we can dissolve it using an enzyme called hyaluronidase. Think of it as our reset button. So it's a tool for us to reset. If we inject at the wrong depth, we can remove or erase it using the hyaluronidase. It's also a tool, hyaluronidase, for us to use to remove the overfilled or the age fillers that we have filled long time ago. So hyaluronidase, it breaks down the old misplaced fillers or wrongly placed fillers, so we can restart again with a clean canvas. Is it safe? So in an experienced hand, yes, it is a well-established procedure, and we always take a however, we should always take a proper history first, because a small number of people can be sensitive or allergic to the enzyme, and when we dissolve the hyaluronic acid fillers, we also have to dissolve in a very courteous way and in a very targeted, controlled way, because sometimes over more than one sessions, because when we over dissolve the fillers, we might recreate the volume loss again. And over melting or over removal, sometimes when the volume loss happen, what will happen is the face might look tired, might look saggy again. But one thing, which is easy to handle, we can just fill it back again. That's why, however, filling it back will require additional payment. Then it will increase the budget. So hyaluronidase need to be handled with care. And this care will be coming from how much to dissolve, which layer to dissolve. And when the dissolving is done gradually and correctly, we should be able to get the good results, and the patients don't really have to suffer the permanent overfilled conditions. Yep. So next, let's look at if there is any other questions. Okay, question 4. After hearing, after hearing all this, should I avoid filler completely? Are they bad? So, not at all. And I want to be very clear about this because I don't want anyone to live tonight afraid of hyaluronic acid fillers, which already happened. Because sometimes when we introduce the patients that, I think you need hyaluronic acid fillers, then they straight away link. When they hear of hyaluronic acid fillers, straight away they will be thinking that, overfilled syndrome. So fillers are not the villain. They are not the evil. So in the right hand, for the right indications, and in the right amount, they are safe and a very wonderful tools. They can restore lost volume, they can support the facial structure, and give a beautiful natural result. So I use them in my own practice every week or every day. And the problem is never the product itself, it's the approach. So overfilled syndromes come from repeated, unassessed injections, treating every lines and hollow as needing more filler without looking at the 4 important structure layer of the face, which we have discussed before, from the deepest, the bone, the muscle, the fat pad, and the skin. So my advice is simple. Choose a doctor who examines your whole face before picking up a syringe, who is willing to tell you not today, you don't need it, and who has a long-term plan for your face. Not just a plan for today's appointment and the amount of fillers you need today. A well-done treatment should make people say, like what I've shared before, you look refreshed. Never, what have you done to your face? Okay, now let's look at the next question. What is the difference between fillers and regenerative treatments? Which one is right for me? So, for those patients who are really afraid of hyaluronic acid fillers, another alternative is regenerative treatment. And I like these questions because it's really the heart of tonight's topic. Think of it this way. A filler is like placing a cushion. It adds volume where volume has been lost. It works immediately and in the right place. It is excellent for structural support. A regenerative treatment works differently. Instead of adding bulk or volume, it spreads smoothly through the fat pads and communicate with your own tissue, stimulating your natural cells to firm up and rebuilding your own collagen framework. It repairs the deflated padding underneath. So the lift comes from your own within. The results appear gradually over weeks and it's completely untraceable. No stiffness, no puffiness, no filler face. So the question patient always asks, which one is right for you? It depends entirely on your own desire, expectations, and the aim that you wanted to achieve. If you have true volume loss at the bone or deep fat layer, filler may still be the best answer. If you have true volume loss and you are aiming for regenerative treatment, you might be disappointed because you have to wait for a slightly longer period of time to fill the volume loss through repair and regenerations of regenerative treatments. If your issue is deflations, early sagging, or skin quality, or if your face is already carrying old fillers, regenerative treatments or a reset might serve you far better than keep injecting hyaluronic acid fillers or keep injecting fillers. Often, the best plan is a thoughtful combination. That is exactly why we believe that everything starts with consultations and assessment, because true beauty begins with an optimally healthy body, and you will be able to care for your beautiful face better if you're doing it inside out. Okay, let's look at the next topic that I'm going to discuss with you a bit. Now, you might be thinking, Dr. Anna, as patients, how can we protect ourselves and make sure we never end up with overfilled syndrome? Okay, and this is the questions I would think that all the patients should have a thought about it. The reason why is I truly believe prevention is always better than cure. And here are the 3 golden rules. I share with most of my patients, and I do hope that you may want to remember this part. And if you find this helpful, do share this live with your friends who need to hear it as well. So the golden rules number 1, we do not chase every single line. So aging happens in layer. It is never just about filling up every hollow spot. Overfillings happens when fillers is continuously added without assessing the root cause and the underlying structure, the bone and the fat pad. Always treat the cause, not just the line. Do a proper assessment. Golden rules number 2, always get a full facial assessment before topping up. I've shared before this as well. Never inject out of habit just because a few months has passed. Never inject because you are insecure of how you look, which insecurity might be an emotional need. Not necessarily you really have the volume loss on your face. How long your filler lasts actually depends on a lot on your lifestyle, as what we have shared before. Reassess again your sleep, your exercise, your nutrition, your hydrations, and your stress level. So at your next visit, instead of asking for more filler, ask your doctor, what is my face actually lacking right now? What's the challenges that I have to face? And that one simple question can protect you and can keep your face look refreshed, look natural, and look youthful. So, the golden rules number 3, consider regenerative treatment or a reset. So, aesthetic treatment or treatment on the face, it's not just about filling up volume. There is also repair and regenerations required as well. If your face is already feeling a little heavy, sometimes the smartest steps is not adding more. It may be tightening the skin, stimulate your own collagens, or even dissolving the old misplaced filler first. So we can start again with a clean canvas. Remember, a well-done treatment shouldn't make people ask what you have done to your face. It should simply make you look healthy, balanced, and naturally refreshed. Okay, so the next, how can we restore the structure safely? Remember, it's important for us not to just chase wrinkle and not just blindly add volume. Everything begins with consultations, assessment, and a personalized treatment plan. You and your doctor supposed to listen carefully to each other so that what you want and what you need is well aligned. At the same time, don't forget to assess all 4 structures layer of the face, the bone, the muscle, the fat pad, and the skin, because the treatment options are totally different. And when a patients come in worried about being overfilled, the very first questions, which is the diagnostic one, is this truly overfilled syndrome? Or is this inflammations? Or is this water retention? Because the right diagnosis is the key for successful treatment. Let me share a real case with you. I have a patient. This patient come to us hoping to improve her saggy face, and we treated her with 8 syringes of fillers and review her 2 months later. Can I get you to put the patient's photo up? So when you're looking at the patient's before and 2 months after photo, you might notice that, hey, the patient's face 2 months after the treatment are significantly overfilled of the 8 syringes of fillers. So when the patients come back for follow-up, her face looked swollen. She felt very uncomfortable, and she was worried that her face had been over-treated with fillers. But during the consultations and assessment, we noticed something very important. She had just colored her hair. If you do assess the before and after, looking at the hairline, the 2 months after, she just recently colored her hair. So what she was experiencing was most likely water retention because due to the inflammations of the hair dye, not exactly overfilling. So when patients presented of these situations to us, what should we do? Should we just dissolve her fillers? The answer is we get the patients to be relaxed a little bit. Instead of rushing to dissolve her hyaluronic acid fillers with hyaluronidase, we kept her under careful observations. So 2 weeks later, we can post up another set of photo. 2 weeks later, when the patients came back for reassessment again, we noticed that the water retention had subsided significantly. And if you're looking at the 4th month photo, her face had settled back to baseline beautifully. So not all volume enhancement or over swollen face, it's because of overfilled syndrome. It's a combination of hyaluronic acid fillers plus inflammation induced by, for this particular case, hair dye, plus water retention because hyaluronic acid fillers have very strong capacity to hold on to water. So the lesson here, not every swollen face is an overfilled face. Proper assessment means learning to identify the true cause of the swelling before deciding on any treatments. It actually will help the patients to save a lot of money. And at the same time, besides saving on the patient's budget, it also prevents unnecessary maneuver, because if we highlight when the patients presented to us, when the face is swollen, so we will induce any additional anxiety at that time, at that moment. So maybe I can reassess again, showcase the last photo again. So when you're looking at this particular photo of 8 syringes of hyaluronic acid fillers injected on the face, if you do look at the before and to look at 4 months later, the fillers was placed beautifully at the right positions. And when you assess the patient's face, you do notice that her cheek is lifted, the jowling area is lifted at the same time, and marionette nasolabial fold and the marionette line both are lifted and reduced significantly, and overall volumizing of the face have reduced at the same time as well. So when we rethink about overfilled syndrome, is all the volumizing of the face overfilled syndrome? Again, it's a question mark. So what about a genuine case of overfilled syndrome? When a face is truly overfilled or heavy, we can press the reset button using the targeted therapy to clear the canvas, and we need to rebuild support without adding fake puffy volume. We use advanced regenerative treatments that targeted the deflated fat layer directly, rather than sitting in a hard static lump like misplaced fillers. So there are few regenerative treatments available nowadays. Number one, we can consider platelet-rich plasma treatments. Number two, we can also consider enzymatic treatments like lipase, collagenase, lyase, which they will communicate directly with your tissues, encouraging your own natural cell to repair and regenerate. So let's go to the next video that we have prepared. Have you ever looked at someone who has obviously had aesthetic work done and noticed their face look unusually white, puffy, or almost constantly swollen? They wanted to look younger and refreshed, but the result looked heavy. In the medical world, we call this facial overfilled syndrome. For years, patients were told a comforting myth: don't worry, fillers completely dissolve on its own in 6 to 12 months. But modern images tells a very different story. So when you keep adding new fillers on top of old fillers that never fully left, you create a structural traffic jam under the skin. So how do you actually spot overfilled syndrome? There are a few very specific anatomical signs I see in the clinics. The first is what we call sunset eyes. When too much fillers sit high in the cheeks, it can look fine when you are facing a mirror, but the moment you smile, your natural muscle push that heavy gel upward. It crowds the lower eyelids, make the eyes look smaller and swollen up, like the sun setting behind a hill. The second classic sign is the avatar nose. When filler is injected repeatedly into the nasal bridge to raise the profile, the gel can slowly spread sideways over time. Instead of a sharp, elegant bridge, it creates a wide, flat appearance between the eyes. That distinctive look from the movie. But it isn't only about how the face looks at rest, it's also about how it moves. This is what we call dynamic dysregulations, or more simply, the stiff smile. An overfilled face can look perfectly smooth in a static photo, but true youthfulness is dynamic. It breathes, it expresses emotion. When a face is packed with heavy gel, the underlying muscles of expressions are physically restricted. So when the person laughs or smiles, the middle of the face stays flat and frozen. And that is exactly what triggers our brain to think that look artificial. Aging is complex, bones change, fat pads shift and shrink, ligament bruises. If you don't treat those distinct layers properly, piling on fillers only masks the issue while distorting your natural expressions. So if you're watching this and realizing your face feels a bit heavier, take a deep breath. There is a way out, and it's nothing to be afraid of. We can press the reset button. Many patients are terrified of dissolving old filler because they worry it will leave them saggy or deflated. But clearing out that old traffic jam is one of the healthiest things you can do to restore a clean, youthful, and structural base. To do this gracefully, we use specialized tools. Traditionally, hyaluronidase is an enzyme that gently breaks down all hyaluronic acid fillers so your body can clear it away naturally. So at Anahu Clinic, we also incorporate advanced therapeutic options such as PB serum. Rather than only melting fillers, PB serum uses a cocktail of recombinant enzymes such as collagenase, lipase, and lyase that also help improve the surrounding tissues, softening fibrosis, the hard scar tissues that can form around old fillers, and helping to firm the skin matrix. It isn't just about emptying the face. It's about restoring the health and elasticity of the tissues underneath. So once we clear the canvas, we can properly evaluate your anatomy as a whole. Only then do we design an individualized, medically driven plan, enhancing your natural proportions with micro doses of fillers only when bone has truly changed, or using regenerative therapies to help your skin rebuild its own collagen. So our goal at Anahu Clinic isn't to create a dramatically different face. It is to help you look healthier, balanced, refreshed, and beautifully, naturally you.
人们常问我，为什么看起来不像50岁？因为我一直坚持由内而外的健康美。真正的年轻是一种活力，是对生活的热情。爬山、瑜伽或是四处走走，我总是精力充沛，充满笑容。
Youth Forever NMN Plus, the secret to energizing your body. NMN fuels NAD+, charging your cells, supports DNA repair, and boosts lasting energy. Youth Forever NMN Plus. Maximize your anti-aging potential with a professional medical team-developed formula. Contains 500 milligrams NMN per serving. It's your all-in-one boost for vitality and a youthful life.
年轻不只是外在，这里也一样重要。我的活力由我来定义。
Youth Forever NMN Plus. Stay young, inside and out.
Welcome back. I hope that video helped you recognize the signs of Overfilled Syndrome. And now let me show you what all this look like in real life. Here is a case studies that show how targeted natural restorations goes far beyond the traditional just add more fillers approach. So in this case, you will see how targeted volume restorations and careful structural assessment help reverse the facial aging. Can you please maybe put up the patient's before and after photo? Okay, so when you're looking at this sets of photo, the real on the left one is actually the one with the yellow color hairband. That is the real before. When we perform a proper assessment, after the consultations, the assessment of the face, we will assess the upper, middle, lower, and also the patient's neck. When we assess the full face, we will read on the energies that carry by the patient's face. For example, when you're looking at the real before, the patient's, it's a beautiful lady, but carries certain emotion which is slightly at the negative end. She looks a bit tired and she looks a bit uncertain. And this uncertainties, it's actually visualized on the face. And in my early years of practice, I'm keep asking myself, when I inject fillers onto the patient face, what do I really want to achieve? Am I just wanted to feel fillers on the patient's face so that to remove the volume loss? Is it as treatment on the face, is it as superficial as just filling up the space or treating the volume loss? Then I realized it does not. When we are talking about hyaluronic acid fillers treatment on the face, it's actually go far beyond than just volume enhancement. And this far beyond volume enhancement bring us enhancement of the functionality of the patient's facial structure. So for example, when you're looking at the real before and the second photo, can you get the patient's photo up again? So for the second photos, we treated the patient's temple, we treated the patient's cheek. At the same time, we treated the patient's lower part of the face, a little bit at the chin area and the labial mantle crease as well. Just by enhancement around this particular area, we eliminate not the volume loss, we eliminate the anxiety on the face, and we enhance the patient's face with calmness and relaxations. Can you see the difference on the first and the second photo? Then let's go to the third one. So I always share with my patients when we come about treatment on the patient face, step number one is to restore the functions of the face, which allow you to be able to communicate optimally with people around you. After we restore the functions, like in the second phase, then the next thing is how can I enhance so that not only you can communicate well, but we can bring forward confidence, fresh and youthfulness on the face. So when you're looking at the third photo, we further enhance on volume loss on the patient's forehead. Just by adding volume on the patient's forehead, increase filler usage, you notice that when you compare the third photo with the first one, the third photo's patient face looks significantly slimmer. If you agree with me, can you please type yes? Do you think that the patient face looks significantly slimmer on the third photo compared to the initial one? Do you think that the patient face on the third photo look more elegant, look more attractive compared to the first photo? If you do think so, can you please type yes? I would like to look at the answers that you provide. Okay, then that is enhancement. And sometimes the patients will ask, Dr. Anna, is this the best versions that I can achieve? Is this the best versions of me? Definitely the answer is no. So when you're looking at the fourth photo, it's further enhancement, further added volume. But this treatment with hyaluronic acid fillers, we planned very carefully. The additional volume are more on the upper face and the temple. At the same time, at the cheek area. At the same time, we curated a more beautiful contour for the patient's cheek. So when you're looking at the fourth photo, it's a lady, significantly younger, significantly more attractive, way much more feminine, and way much more beautiful compared to the first photo. Okay? If you think what you see is what I explained just now, can I get you maybe to give me additional yes again? And then if you think the current versions of you can be further enhanced again, you can also put a yes there as well. And I always believe the current versions of us at this time, at this moment, yes, it's optimum, but a better versions will come as long as we nurture ourselves and we take care and we put in effort, not only think, but we need to put in effort so that we can bring our body, our mind, and the ability for us to function to the next level. Okay, so thanks for the answer. Now, let's open for the floor again. I can see more questions is coming in. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm. Actually, I'm a bit excited at the same time. Remember, every question you ask tonight will put you in the running for one of our 5 complete essential kits. So, one of the questions here is, if I dissolve my fillers, will my skin sag? Okay, for this particular questions, I think I have answered roughly. If the reason why you remove the fillers or you dissolve your fillers is because of over volumizing, and if you are too eager to get fast result within very short periods of time, because sometimes patients come in and say, I don't want it, I don't want to see it, I want to get rid everything, then that instructions itself will leads to decisions made by using high dose of hyaluronidase and dissolve everything at one go. If that happened, yes, definitely the face will look saggy. In my practice, I do come across the situations where the patients have constantly adding hyaluronic acid fillers on and off every 6-7 months once, 6-7 months once. Suddenly one day, when she review or when she read about overfilled syndrome in the social media and she look into the mirror, she think that, oh my God, I think I'm overfilled. So because with that intentions in mind, she went to her aesthetic doctor and then she highlights it all at once. Immediately after she highlights the hyaluronic acid fillers, when she looked at her face in the mirror, she couldn't accept of that versions of her. And eventually she refilled it back again. So what I would propose, if you do think that the facial volume is a bit over volumized, removal, or when you want to push on the reset button, push it slowly and gently. We do not want to over dissolve, because over dissolve, it's removing significant amount of volume underneath the skin within 2 short periods of time. The skin sagginess, the appearance of the tear trough, the appearance of the nasojugal groove, nasolabial fold, and the marionette line will be very significant. Do it slowly and gently, but before you proceed for hyaluronidase, have a good chat with your aesthetic doctor. Do a proper assessment. Is that overfilled syndrome, or is that anxiety or insecurity because you are reading about this particular topic? Okay, so the next questions. If I don't want to use traditional fillers to fix my sunken cheek or sagging jawline anymore, what other options do I have that won't make my face look wider or heavier? Okay, so again, whenever we encounter this type of questions, I always ask myself, why do I make the decisions? Because I do not want this, I do not want that, rather than the question supposed to be, how can I achieve the result which will give me natural, refreshing, confident, yet beautiful and youthful face? So when we perform treatment, usually we will targeting at the results, and to make sure we walk this journey safe without any repercussions in the future, the material we use for the for the particular treatments that we choose, it have to be safe. So for example, there is no other fillers in the market or in the treatment category where after the treatment, if we don't like it, we can highlight it. So hyaluronic acid so far is one of the treatments which are able to give us this luxury. I'm fearful of do not know what to expect after the treatment, but if you do not like, or somehow after the treatment you realize your aesthetic sense and your doctor's aesthetic sense are totally different, there is a reset button that we can push on, which is using the hyaluronidase. Okay, so decisions to make of what treatments I need, it should be coming from, if you have bone volume lost, then we will be using hyaluronic acid to top up the volume lost due to bone loss. If you have sagginess on the face because of overpowered or overstrength of the platysma muscle, which pulling the lower part of the face down, that making the face look saggy, then the treatment options, it will be botulinum toxin A to release the tensions at the neck and the lower part of the face, which eventually will allow the muscle on the upper part of the face to pull up easier. So that is without adding volume on the face, yet able to lift the patient's face up. Then the next is fat pad restorations. So on our face, they are deep fat pad and they are superficial fat pad. as we age, the deep fat pad, especially the medium melanchic fat pad, it tends to atrophy or get smaller as we age. The reductions in volume will lead to volume loss, appearance of the tear trough, and appearance of the nasojugal groove. So for this particular area, if the patients do not want hyaluronic acid as volume enhancer, there are hyaluronic acid which is targeting for repair and regenerations, which will eventually stimulate your own stem cell activations and restore the fat pad volume as time goes by. However, if you select this particular treatment method, please be mindful there is no instant volume restoration. The volume eventually will come later part comparatively to volume enhancer versions of the hyaluronic acid. And if you really do not want any volume enhancement, but you would like to have slightly firmer, tighter skin, energy-based device is another treatment options of choice. Because, for example, when we fill the patient's face with hyaluronic acid, volume, it will enhance and then it will stretch the skin, and this stretching of the skin, it will make the patient's face look less saggy and maybe fuller. So another way for us to help the patients to look less saggy and the volume is slightly restored, it's by tightening up the skin. So tightening up the skin, if the surface area of the skin is like this before treatment, energy-based devices which will be able to help to further reduce the surface area, reductions of the surface area will further firm and tighten up the skin. So treatment options are like fractional radiofrequency, fractional CO2, long pulse Nd:YAG, long pulse alexandrite, monopolar radiofrequency, bipolar radiofrequency. Other options are like PRP treatments, which will further firm and tighten up the skin, which is under the repair and regenerations. Okay, so I think that's almost about all for today. And thank you so much for spending your evening with us on the Anna Hu channel live today. I truly hope tonight's sessions help you understand overfilled syndrome and, more importantly, how to protect your own natural beauty, the real versions of yourself. If you take away just one thing tonight, let it be this. Aesthetic treatment should always enhance your natural features, making you look well rested and refreshed, never overfilled, and never artificial. And true beauty always begins with an optimally healthy body, cared for from the inside out. We'll announce our 5 lucky winners of the complete essential kit very soon. So keep an eye on our page and our team will reach out to you directly. Good night, everyone, and take good care of yourself, and I will see you at our next live sessions. With love from all of us at Anna Hu channel.